is just fantastic.
Captain's log, subdates 220312.7. Oh look, a bonus round. What a time to be alive. While it may not be a regular programming day, we shall do our best regardless. With that in mind, has anyone got any sherbet? Welcome everyone to This Week at Twitter, or twat. Today we're going to start with Ukraine and work our way towards whatever it is that I've got in my sources that I'm sure are absolute nonsense. But here for your entertainment, of course. Consider it ribbed for your pleasure. So first, Sofane. NATO hasn't invaded a sovereign nation, you absolute brain-dead idiot. Underneath is a tweet from someone who I can't see their tweet of. No, I'm not blocked. Turns out, when they got enough flack from the tweet, they decided to go protected, because they're big brain and big brave. Say something stupid, but I've got to be on my high horse all the time and on my hill, and I will not let you kill me or take me off it. That's pretty much the mentality on Twitter. One must always be right, all the time, without fail. So underneath I've said, I can't see the tweet. Can you illuminate me, gorgeous? Sofane, oh you silver-tongued devil. The person has now gone private. Thankfully though, optic decay. When will this Russian aggression stop? Underneath is a map showing all the countries that have signed up to NATO from 1998 to 2022. The vast majority of Europe have done this. This would certainly lend credence to the threats from Russia to Finland and Sweden if they joined NATO. While we're still in this area of general jackassery, let's go to other tweets from more people who are about as intellectually stunted as a brain-dead munchkin, or deaf noodles. Undoomed. OFFS, delete your account, celeb. Underneath there's an image from a tweet from Patricia Arquette. She has retweeted MK-Ultra. Staff at the nuclear power plant in Ukraine sent a message to Ukrainian media and government authorities warning that the Russian troops that took the plant are now laying down explosives around it in order to blackmail the people. Yeah. Patricia Arquette, kick Russia out of NATO. While there are a number of important agreements on cooperation between NATO and Russia, Russia only joined the Partnership for Peace program. They are not a member of NATO. When it comes to dealing with security issues and joint projects, the Russia-NATO Council deals with it. And as a final bit concerning Ukraine and Russia, Thunderfoot, a personal message for Putin, warmly appreciated by my Ukrainian co-worker whose family fled Kharkiv in the first days of the Russian invasion. In hard times, little gesture like this can help. A middle finger. I don't think Putin will see it, not least because he has no idea who you are, but also because I believe Twitter is banned in his country. Just thought I'd let you know. Might I recommend you take a photo of it and mail it to the Kremlin? I'm sure they'll take you super serial. Do yourself a favor though, if you do it, don't drink any tea that glows in the dark. So to move on from that, we're going to talk about Deji. Deji is the brother of KSI. I have done a content constable on him. The video absolutely tanked, essentially killed the series. Lesson learned. Deji has had 3 fights as a boxer. In the first fight, he actually came close to beating Jake Paul, but what ruined it for him was the fact he had no stamina. And that was because, as we found out after from his brother, when it came to training, Deji was too busy eating pizza and not training with his brother, who really wanted to train with him. In his second fight, again, his stamina betrayed him. He came in overweight and he basically threw no punches. And if he did, they didn't hit anything. Over the weekend, he fought Alex Wasabi. Not many people are a fan of Alex Wasabi for a number of reasons, although some will give him an iota of credit for beating the feck out of Fusitube. Well, Deji lost again. This time though, Deji came in shape. Deji slipped punches. But Deji was shorter, had a lesser reach, so slipping punches didn't help him, because it just meant he stayed out of range, because he didn't land any punches. No joke, he hugged. He lost because he didn't throw a punch. Even JJ said this in a video directly to you, telling you you cocked this one up, your tactics were nonsense. If you are the shorter person with a less reach, you don't want to be fighting a fight with somebody at their range, because you can't reach them to trade. You want to be in the pocket, working them, making things difficult for them. Landing your punches knowing their longer arms are less beneficial, but for some odd reason that wasn't the tactic. So, Keemstar, Deji is already talking a rematch. I thought you were going to quit boxing if you lost, bro. Many people think he'll have a redemption fight and keep doing it until 2028. Others are trying to play this neutrally and say, oh no, it's up to Deji if he carries on fighting. Please don't fight anymore, Deji. You came in looking fantastic this time, but you didn't throw any punches, and that's how we don't know if you actually have any stamina or not. You did no work, and this was trending because this is embarrassing. You hugged an entire match, and just because you didn't gas out doesn't mean you've improved. It just means you did less. Less, while it is considered sometimes more. Less is more. Oh, that's great. That would only be applicable if you threw one meaningful punch. But you didn't. Did you, Deji? Now, I am fully aware that some people might take this as, can any people online actually do better? That's not the question here. That is a deflection. The focus is, he's been out of this for 5+ months training. Broke up with his girlfriend, his racist girlfriend, to focus on fighting. He had already lost 2 fights because his stamina betrayed him. This time, we have no idea if his stamina betrayed him because he didn't throw any punches to show if he had any stamina. And by the way, when he was hugging, he was still being out-muscled by Alex Wasabi of all people. Would you all like a palate cleanser now? Let's have a palate cleanser. So I guess while we're still in the area of boxing, we're going to talk about Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua is a 2-time unified heavyweight champion and former Olympic gold medalist. Both times he has suffered defeats. He has suffered defeats to people either he was not prepared for, or they were just simply a better pure boxer than him. He is supposed to be having a rematch with the more recent loss to Alexander Usyk. Usyk, though, has gone to fight for his country in Ukraine, meaning the unified heavyweight title goes there with him, and that is arguably the right thing to do. Anthony Joshua, though, does not have a dance partner, so names are being thrown about as potential opponents for him, the more notable of which would include Otto Wallin and Joe Joyce. Otto Wallin gave Tyson Fury 47 stitches after he used his hand in his glove to try and gouge Tyson's eye out. Yeah, he's that guy. Quality boxer, found a way to make his hand a bit looser in the glove. What a dick. Joe Joyce is nicknamed the Juggernaut, and is still undefeated somehow. A more recent controversial win has me on the fence with him, because he's quite slow. He builds up, yes, and he can take a bit of a punch, which does make him a bit of a threat to Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua was not best impressed when people had suggested him and Otto Wallin because he boxed Otto Wallin twice as youngsters and had stopped Joe Joyce in the first round of amateur fights, which is in fact true. If you look at his amateur record, he has done this. The problem Anthony Joshua has is, it's all well and good chasing bigger fights, or difficult fights, but there aren't many available to you right now. Tyson Fury is not going to fight him because he has no belts. Dillian White won't fight him because, again, no belts. Deontay Wilder more than likely won't because he won't get much money for it. A rematch with Joseph Parker is a possibility. But in reality, there aren't many decent big-name fights out there for Anthony Joshua. And that's because, since he's lost his titles, he's fallen down the pecking order. So who does he fight? Joe Joyce is a mandatory for one of Alexander Usyk's titles. And I believe Daniel Dubois is another one who lost to Joe Joyce. There is a possibility if I keep on positing theories about who Anthony Joshua fights next in the interim, while we wait for Alexander Usyk to come back from fighting or to start training, or for the belts to be vacated. Anthony needs a dance partner and he may be setting his standards a bit too high. Taking out other people's mandatories could well benefit him anyway, and also, let's face it, was because his tactics like Deji's were absolute shite. So to move away from boxing before I nerd the F out, let's go to Jeff Holiday. It's been 10 years and we still haven't got a sequel to one of the greatest movies ever made. Underneath is a picture of Dredd, one of my favourite movies of all time. There is a comic book that was made as a sequel. It's not bad, it really isn't. But let's face it here, Karl Urban's performance was absolutely stellar, and the idea, the concept of Megacity 1 felt more closer to home and less like a cartoon. And because of the way it was done, in such an enclosed space, the film really resonated with a lot of the fans. It's just a shame that things like Dredd don't get the attention they deserve, because then people miss out on quality performances from Karl Urban and the rest of the cast, which were, by the way, absolutely stellar. Next, to the gentleman whose tweets keep popping up in my timeline even though I don't follow you. Your tweets aren't promoted, but you fall under the Star Trek banner, and I don't even follow many Star Trek accounts, if any knowingly at all. Do you still wear a mask in public? I do. No, I do not. It is not a legal requirement, and quite frankly, I could do with less of my own moisture in my face. Okay. Next, International Women's Day happened during the week, and a hashtag was trending because of it. It was the gender pensions gap. Why? Well, if we can ignore the one Nimrod who said it's the one day of the year when it's not International Men's Day, because he's a bit of a twat. The pension gap is because of personal choice in a lot of instances. There is some inequity that needs to be rectified. Personal choice of occupation, lesser earnings, lesser put into pension pots because of it. If you have an equal representation of men and women working in one field, and women are still making less doing the exact same jobs as guys, which means they are not putting as much into their pension pot as the men, then that is genuine inequality. If it is for any other reason, then it is not for what you think it is, and certainly not for what the majority of those under the gender pension gap think it is. So while I do agree a discussion needs to be had, it needs to be one where people on all sides, because there could be more than two, are willing to listen to the evidence, and not evidence that has been misinterpreted by people who don't seem to understand basic statistics. I know a lot of people in the past have looked down at mathematics in school and said, yeah, but when am I ever going to use this? It's not about using it. It's about the ability to solve a problem, to look at a problem and understand the problem. If you cannot fathom it, chances are you're taking offense because reasons. But those reasons are entirely fabricated out of your own bottom. A lot of the gender pension gap comes down to personal choices with employment. Not all, but a lot of them. That is a fact of life that has been going on for centuries, probably millennia at this point, but with pensions in existence, not that long. It is a personal choice for a lot of it. If you cannot accept that, then it sounds to me like you're refusing to understand or accept a very basic decision, the individual's right to choose. It is called a consequence of your choice. I'm self-employed. Do you think I pay much into a pension pot? No. So what's mine gonna be? Non-existent at this rate anyway. Do I care? Not really. It's no one else's fault but my own. And it is a consequence I am quite content with. Instead of morally grandstanding to be offended cause, perhaps think about this from a more reasonable stance. If you can't do that, chances are you're a moron. And while we're still in the ballpark of morons, I saw this video going around of people mocking a protest of those who are against circumcision, or male genital mutilation as it should be called, an act that I maintain should be 100% made illegal. I couldn't care less about your religious practices, and if you're female and say, oh but it looks better, or hygiene, shut the fuck up. A level of autonomy is taken away from them, and to mock people who are protesting against this, or to think somehow you have a leg to stand on or a position that is worth holding, is moronic. Unless medically necessary, i.e. penis be choked by foreskin, which does happen, it should never happen. Simple as that, really. Should we perhaps move on to things that aren't as super serial? Let's go to Roy Fire Emblem. Ricky Berwick chooses to make jokes about his disability because it makes him money and doesn't mind it. In most people's cases of people who have speech impediments, they would prefer if it just didn't get brought up. I don't think that's a valid comparison, man. This was retweeted by Neon Caffeine. Ricky Berwick makes jokes because he's funny and he enjoys it, which I'm not sure if it was the contributing factor, although I'm sure it played a part, so yes, it was in fact one. They privated their Twitter account. It's that thing again of people opening their mouths and stupid things coming out, and then they just think, I'll be fine. Consequence-free on Twitter, of all places. Do you need a hug, Roy Fire Emblem? During the week, I noticed The Last Jedi was trending, and I couldn't work out why at first, even after clicking on the trending tag and then archiving it to get this. Trump, Cody Rhodes, Yoda, and more BS, quite frankly. I couldn't work it out, but there was a tweet that did take my eye. From Sharkbait. The Last Jedi will always be remembered as the episode that killed an entire saga. It murdered Luke's entire character arc, destroying the meaning of hope, and tried to teach you that letting your enemies kill all that you love means that you win. I mean, it was one of the takeaway points, along with the apparent idea that once a Mary Sue, you simply know everything. Oh, and of course, it doesn't matter if we make poor decisions at the cost of everyone else's lives. It really doesn't. Oh, and of course, the nonsensical destruction of John Boyega's character. Was it Finn? Yeah, that made no sense to me. It's just a shame we don't get a Snyder Cut version, I guess. You know, to try and find a way of redeeming what it was that many people suffered through. Now, I know I'm more of a Star Trek guy. Thank you for noticing the uniform. But don't forget here, I did go to the cinema and I did watch whatever the 7th one was called. Was it called Rise of Mary Sue? I can't remember. All I thought when I left the cinema after watching it was, did I just watch a 21st century rehash of A New Hope? The Last Jedi is often considered now one of the worst ones and makes the prequel trilogy look a lot better. And the reason why? Well, actually, Luke is one of the reasons why, actually. The fact he's bullied into teaching Rey, which made very little sense. Oh, I'm not going to teach you, so I'm going to kick the crap out of everything you love and, well, you, until you train me. Alright. Oh, and then Yoda just happily conveniently turns up and says, well, it's okay, because she knows everything. Obviously said differently. Sorry, I'll say it again. Knows everything she does. Which is complete and utter bollocks, really, isn't it? Oh, but she brings balance to the Force. Yes, because she's the only one left. Of course the Force is balanced. There's only one person. Star Trek's better. I have to throw this in here because it tickled me to no end. I mentioned on Wednesday that Foodie Beauty was yeeted off YouTube. On Thursday I mentioned she's kind of reappearing, streaming on OnlyFans. Now she's streaming in other places as well. Yes, not getting anywhere near as much attention, and of course that upsets her beezing mood. She recently started a Twitter, had indicated that she shut it down, but is still there. Now I'm going to say this now as a disclaimer. To anyone that hates her, please do not flag her Twitter, because she doesn't make any money off it, so it serves no purpose other than to deplatform her. And also, she might say something really dumb, and I might be able to archive it before she deletes it. Which means I get content out of stupidity, which is a win-win for my selfishness, right? She's already killed my end-of-year review. My poor end-of-year review. What a shame. I guess I'll have to make do with the, well, 2.5 months that I've got worth of content that makes up about an hour's worth of video. How will I ever survive? It's going to be a nightmare. Alright, it's going to be a literal nightmare. If you do like cancer, go follow her. There are other cancerous accounts on Twitter, Ethan Ralph being an obvious one. I'd recommend just following Cog instead because it's funnier watching him argue with everyone that simps for Ethan, or just doesn't like Cog. It's hilarious to me, but only because I get on well with him. I don't really care. See, this is light-hearted now. Should I bring it back down somehow? Should I? Do I have anything that can do that? Don't think I do. Oh no, we got boobs. We'll do boobs next. You're all welcome. The offending chesticles in question come courtesy of a tweet I saw via White Sith Mail. How dare woman have boobs? How dare woman wear a normal tank top? How dare woman show skin when showing of her painting? Mouth-breathing Puritans. Accompanied is a retweet of Torty Tart, which includes images from Catherine Machin's space art. Was it Machin? Machin, let's go with that. The moon oil painting. No lie, when I saw that moon I thought it was absolutely exquisitely done. The curvature is nice, the shading is good. It's a gibbous moon, right? No? You know, I can't remember. I only ever remember gibbous moon and cumulonimbus clouds. But apparently what set people off was not the quality of the painting, but the quality of the honkers next door. Put some clothes on. What are you selling here? Wow, that is breathtaking. Like your magnificent boobs. I would rethink how you want to promote your art. How you are posed is very distracting. Interesting to see how the thirst trap can multiply the number of likes by 10 times, compared to most of your paintings. This one is very simple, yet the others didn't get more than 5k-ish likes. Sorry if it seems rude to say it, I just find this fascinating. Kinda self-defeating to feature the bosoms rather than the actual painting. Or was that the point? Your boobs are awesome. Cracking moon. Continuing on, by the way, look at this. People drawing rings around her chest. People going to extreme lengths to be like, yo, put them hunkers away, they're dirty. I have a bit of a dry cough for some odd reason. You're all welcome. No lie, this to me is the ultimate in spurgery. She's just wearing a tank top. And no lie, the first thing I noticed was the painting. I know I need to get my eyes tested. But at the same time, come on fellas. Don't be so offended by boobs. It's an open market. The painting was there, the painting looked good, and your attention was like, it looks so much better if the light from that moon wasn't also shining off your glorious memories. So to the last subject, we're going to go back to the person I started this with, and that would be Sophane. I wonder when TJ, aka the Amazing Atheist, blocked me. I don't remember hurting his feelings. I'd forgotten the Amazing Atheist even existed, and that's because his style of content kind of went downhill. He blamed it all on the anti-SJWs, but also he is very, 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 super contrarian. He's so contrarian that he'll agree and disagree that he's contrarian. He's that guy, alright? If you say something's good, he will immediately tell you it's bad. Turns out, the Amazing Atheist, while being a bit of a champion for free speech in the past, is actually more of a bitch now. We know this because he actually uses block bots, or block lists, as a means of blocking anyone that follows certain people that he doesn't like. And in this, it would be allegedly Dusty Smith. Now I found that fascinating because I'd forgot Cult of Dusty existed as well. So I decided to test this theory. And I can safely tell you at time of recording, the contrarian has yet to block. That's not to say I want to be blocked. I forgot you even existed in the first place. But for the sake of it, I don't think it's just Dusty Smith. I think there are other creators if he uses block lists that are, let's say, no people, but blocking Fane of all people. Fane's harmless. He's gorgeous. I bet it's because he could drink you under the table, TJ. Now, as we are concluded, and yes, I'm basically just saying TJ's a bitch, I think that's a prevailing theme throughout the video. I would love to know what you think about all the topics we've covered today. I know some of them are a bit more serious, and I did spurg out a bit on the boxing. I do apologize. Do let me know in the comments. Smash the like, it really helps. As a final thing, I have a new video on the Moisky Reads channel. This channel exists as a means for me to do reading content. I do quite well over there. It's not monetized. I pay for all the art. It's a great little, let's say, hobby. And I do think I'm getting better as time progresses. The newest one is Zeus by Edith Hamilton. Please consider going over there, smashing the like, subbing if you're not. Really helps that channel, helps me as well, justifies me making more. Yeah. Anyway, have a fantastic weekend everyone, and thank you very much for listening.